Everybody in your crew identifies as either Big Mac Burger, McNuggets, or McCrispy Sandwich. But you're the Filet-O-Fish Sandwich all day. That crispy fish, that savory tartar sauce, that melty cheese, that pillowy bun. Yeah, you get it. Every time.
And if you love the Filet-O-Fish, right now you can catch two of the classics you love for just $6. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Single item at regular price.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Streamed and Screened, an entertainment podcast about movies and TV from Lee Enterprises. I'm Terry Lipschitz, managing editor of the National Newsroom at Lee and co-host of the program, Bruce Miller, editor of the Sioux City Journal and a longtime entertainment reporter. And the season's here. We've been waiting. It's over. It's time. Are you excited?
Don't you think it's like too long?
It is. It feels like we've been talking about this forever.
And I think I'll predict it right now. They'll say that viewership was down this year. They always do that afterwards. Oh, viewership was down. They might do well this year because it had names that people will recognize. But for the most part, the reason it's down is because there are too many award shows that come before it. So by the time you get to this point, you're still kind of worn out from seeing those people dressed up in goofy clothes and, acting like, oh my God, I've just solved the problems of the world.
Yep.
That you're tired. You're looking for something else.
As a sports fan, I feel like the problem with this year's Oscars is similar to those years when you have two teams on a collision course all season long that you have no doubt that they're going to get there. And then there's no interesting storyline. And then it's just like, whatever. It's kind of like you need something weird to happen. So, you think about like that year when the New England Patriots went undefeated during the regular season and they cruised through the playoffs. But then who do they come up against? They come up against a New York Giants football team that was kind of an upstart team, got hot in the playoffs, and then all of a sudden picked them off. So it became a situation where up until that point, up until that week, it looked like it was going to be just like this ho-hum type of Super Bowl, and there was some sort of drama that made it more interesting. So you look at this year's Super Bowl, if it wasn't for Taylor Swift being there, would we have really cared about the Chiefs playing the 49ers? It was kind of like, they've been there before. Chiefs have been there a lot recently. I mean, the 49ers have been a great team over their history. It's just, but I look at it the same way with Oppenheimer. Every week there's one of these award shows. It just steamrolls everybody.
That Oppenheimer win.
Oppenheimer, it wins Best Picture. Cillian Murphy wins Best Actor. Robert Downey Jr. You'll get something else there, like a Lily Gladstone kind of wins for Best Actress, which isn't surprising. But it's like all these probabilities of who's going to win, and it just almost feels like almost everything is predetermined at this point.
And the other bad thing about it is that their voting period goes on during those award shows. So they've got their ballot and they're probably going, well, gee, I better vote for fill in the blank, because if I don't, I'll look like I'm on the wrong side of the tracks or whatever. When I was in California, I talked with Andy McDowell, who is a voter for the Oscars. And I said, how do you really do it? Are you watching these movies, or are you like letting somebody in your house fill out the ballot, or what do you do? And she says, I take it very seriously. I sit down and watch every night, because they get screeners for all of the films. And she said, I sit and watch them, and then I talk with friends about the movies, and I have a running sheet about how I would rate them. And then I cast the ballot. She said, it is not something that I take lightly, because I wasn't always in the academy. And when I got in, I felt that there was some kind of, I had to do something to deserve it. So that's nice to know. But there are ones that the maid is filling out the ballot. So
yeah, I know. And that happens in other things too, where sports reporters or whatever, they don't take it seriously. The interesting thing too, and this is me being a baseball fan, when you look at the end of season awards like Most Valuable Player, Cy Young Award, all of the voting for those are due. I think it's like the last day of the regular season. So you cannot use playoff performance to determine
Oh,
regular season awards. So because there's times where you'll get to the World Series and some guy who is maybe hot during the regular season then crushes it in the postseason. And you're like, well, this guy's got to be the MVP. And then of course we all have to remind whoever said that, like, doesn't count. They can win the World Series MVP, but they're not necessarily going to win the regular season MVP because the voting for it is done. So it would be nice. I'm with you on that. Like, we need to. I like the idea that some of these award shows can help serve as a predictor for the Oscars, but I don't like the idea that somebody sitting at home who might be a little too lazy or just doesn't. It's like, I don't know if I want to watch all these movies. Is just looking. It's like, well, the SAG, they gave it to Oppenheimer, so I'm just going to vote for Oppenheimer because.
well, and if they move their voting period up before the award shows start hitting, where you'd have to vote before you got to even the Golden Globes, and then at least it wouldn't be so kind of preordained, because you look at it, Da'Vine Joy Randolph is winning. She will win for Best Supporting Actress. If they denied her that award, it would be the biggest upset of the year. So she's going to win. And I think Robert Downey Jr. is the same way for Best Supporting Actor for Oppenheimer. I think those two, you might as well just hand them out before we even start the show, because they're going to win.
And I think that's where it'll be interesting when we come back and do our next episode. Well, we'll talk more about this later, but we will record that night. So we're going to get a hot take off of the Oscars the night of this happening. But it'll be interesting to see, as soon as we can get it, what the ratings for the program are.
What's interesting is that they're usually, the Oscar people can throw a curve. Like last year, Jamie Lee Curtis wasn't a done deal to win Best Supporting Actress. It was like Angela Bassett's to lose. And when she didn't win, you could just see her face drop. And then they did a make good in the honorary Oscars and gave her one there. So I'm sure they felt like, well, God, she should have won. So that was one of those kinds of surprises. But for the most part, it's business as usual with all of these things.
So let's do this. I think this might be fun. I'm gonna interview you. How about that? I'm gonna ask you, because you're the expert. I'm just your loyal companion.
That's right. Okay.
But, and also I was too lazy to watch all the movies, so I really don't want to wait too much here. But let me we'll go category by category. I'm gonna set you up. We also have an analysis, and it came out, it's from bonusinsider.com, and they took all these stats and whatever, I don't know what crazy algorithms they were using, but they have a predictor, and they came up with probabilities for each of these categories of who's going to win. So I'm going to ask you who you think is going to win, and then I'll look at the stats and kind of share who they think is going to win. Okay. And then we can kind of figure this out later. All right. So we're going to obviously, the big one, of course, is Best Picture. So where are you going with Best Picture? What's your thoughts here?
It has to be Oppenheimer. And I liked Oppenheimer, so I'm okay with it. But if you were looking at an impact on the business, it was Barbie. I hate to tell you that, but Barbie, and I'm sure if you look in 20 years from now and you go, oh God, Barbie won Best Picture, that's how you'd react. But if you look at how that brought people back to the movie theaters and got that all jump-started, and it was who knew what it was going to be, but it was a phenomenon. And if you're going from that perspective, Barbie should get better than just costumes or sets. It really should. But Oppenheimer, it checks every box of a Best Picture winner. It's epic. It tells a story. It has great acting. It has every actor you could think of in the book in that film. And the one that we all thought would be the challenger, Killers of the Flower Moon, didn't seem to even graze that radar.
Yeah.
Even though it's in there. But it's not a head-to-head combat thing for those two films at all. And I think they could give Oppenheimer Best Picture at the beginning of the night and we'd be fine.
Yeah. It'll wait until the end as usual, but I'm with you on that. I'm pretty confident it's Oppenheimer. So Bonus Insider, it almost looks like a runaway from their standpoint. So they're giving Oppenheimer a 65% chance of winning. Um, their second place film is Killers of the Flower Moon, and they're saying it's about 43% chance of winning. So that's a probability. And then their third place is actually Past Lives. What do you think about that?
Wow, that's a real that's a crapshoot there.
Yeah,
I don't
it
think I would go
is.
that far. I would think that Anatomy of a Fall would have a better shot at it because it wasn't nominated for Best Foreign Language Film, and it won the Cannes Film Festival award. It is very well respected, and if you're going to have a one of those ones come from behind, it's Anatomy of a Fall.
Yeah, interesting. So now some of these their numbers are pretty jumbled up, so it's not like, they've got Past Lives way ahead of the next thing, but they ranked them in this order. So they went Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Past Lives, Poor Things, The Zone of Interest, Anatomy of a Fall sixth, Maestro seventh, Barbie eighth, The Holdovers nine, and American Fiction bringing up the rear.
Wow. Yeah, good luck. I don't know that that's necessary. I don't think that's true. I would love to see the ballots and see where they did fall.
They never share that, do they? At
No, no, no.
all?
Studio pressure is if you're working at a studio, they kind of want you to vote for a studio film. And that's where streaming services have been at a disadvantage because, as much as Netflix puts them out there, they aren't coming home with the wins. Look at Maestro this year. He's going home with, if anything, makeup and hair. That's about it. They had Power of the Dog they didn't win with. Now, Coda did break that kind of thing about streaming services. Apple got in there with Coda and won. But it had such momentum toward the end that kind of how do you go against it? I don't know that Killers of the Flower Moon has that same momentum, even though it's Apple too.
Right. What's interesting, and this is not to go too much on a side tangent, but it feels to me like there's a little bit of a bias maybe against a Netflix because of it being a streaming service. It was a DVD service for so long. Apple feels a little bit different, because they've signed up some big people. They have Tom Hanks, they have Spielberg, they have Scorsese. It feels a little different. So I know what you're saying, where they're not a studio like a Fox or some of the others, but it feels like a studio, where Netflix to me doesn't feel like a studio.
Yeah, Netflix must have a real kind of problem with people that they kind of feel like either they're not getting the money that they think they should get from them or what. But there's some kind of a little leverage thing. Now, they promote like crazy. They do great ad campaigns. They send out lots of stuff to get you to try and remember their films. So they're good at marketing it, but the marketing doesn't necessarily stick.
Yeah, I don't know. And I wonder too, because they've also been very slow to report, numbers sometimes. They don't share ratings of programs. So I always wonder if there's just some pushback against Netflix because they're operating on their own. They don't necessarily play by the rules of Hollywood. And I wonder if that's a piece of it where I'm not saying Apple does, but Apple feels more mainstream to me than Netflix, even though Netflix has been around forever and they're very mainstream. But anyway, we digress. Let's talk about Best Director. Is this Christopher Nolan's?
Yeah, it's done deal. It's done deal. Martin Scorsese could have been the one to beat him because they'd like to give somebody, come on. He said he's been nominated more than any other director this decade, and he's due because I don't think The Departed was necessarily him at his best, but he has won. Christopher Nolan has never won. Christopher Nolan has had great films. And this is so epic. It's his turn.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it feels like he's been it actually feels in some ways similar to Scorsese, who, got nominated a whole bunch of times, but never quite won it. And it feels like that way with Christopher Nolan. Now, granted, Nolan's not quite as old as Scorsese was, I don't think, when he's positioned at this point, because Scorsese's, it wasn't until The Departed, right?
Yeah, and this doesn't feel like a make good, where
no, this feels like
he deserved it.
Yeah, it's his crowning achievement. So looking at the stats here, Bonus Insider, basically says 84% chance of Nolan winning Best Director. Yorgos Lanthimos, if I'm pronouncing that
Very good.
correctly. Poor Things, he's at 45%. Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest at 41%, Scorsese at 40% for Killers, and then Justin Triet at 20, almost 24% for Anatomy of the Fall.
Yeah, it's his to lose.
Yeah.
Well,
Now,
Homeless Deborah. He might even get adapted screenplay.
yeah, yeah. So the next one up would be Best Actor, and this one, it's not quite as, in terms of bonus insiders like math, not quite as big of a slam dunk as I would have thought. So what do you think about this one?
It's a coin flip, is what it is, because there's a lot of love for Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, and this is a way that they could say, we embrace our own. We don't know how many more times he can be nominated or what it would be for. He does a great job. The performance is just galvanizing in the film, and he could win on sentiment alone. But how do you have a film called Oppenheimer and the lead guy doesn't win? It's like the year Schindler's List didn't win. Yeah. Come on, Liam Neeson should have gotten that one. I think Cillian Murphy needed to do a little more campaigning. He should have really gotten out there. So he could lose it. And if it is to lose,
Yeah. So, looking at the stats here, it is kind of a coin flip. The coin is teetering. It's still spinning. And it looks like it's going to land on heads for Cillian Murphy, but it could flip to Paul Giamatti. So they've got Cillian Murphy at 60, just about 63% chance, Paul Giamatti at 54% chance, and then followed by Jeffrey Wright, Bradley Cooper, and Coleman Domingo for American Fiction, Maestro, and Rustin, respectively.
But and Cillian Murphy does have other films in him that could easily be Oscar winners. He doesn't win this time. There is another time for him. I don't know that Paul Giamatti has another one like this in his back pocket.
Yeah, and he's such a quirky actor too. He could just pick up a bunch of comedies the rest of his career that, they do great, but they don't necessarily equate to a nomination.
He could be Joe Pesci.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where he's just going to kind of come and go and have his moments, and you love him. I love Paul Giamatti and everything I see him in, but it's just he's not the type of actor that carries the screen the way a De Niro does.
Yeah, and at best you think he would be a supporting actor winner.
Right. Of course. Yep. Best Actress.
Oh, it's tighter because there is the story with Lily Gladstone. I mean, how do you overlook that? And I think that is where people are voting too. She doesn't have as much on-screen time as Emma Stone does. Emma Stone is like that whole movie, and she's naked. So, I mean, is she trying to get a nomination? Yes. Is she trying to win? Yes. But does she have an Oscar? Yes. So that factors in too. If they figure, well, she's already got one. That was always the thing against Daniel Day-Lewis. It's like, when are we going to give him a third? Should we give him a third? I don't know if we're ready to give. And Meryl Streep, she was at the 2 mark for the longest time. It was like a big drought between her second win and her third win. There might be that thing that works against Emma Stone at this point and then goes for Lily Gladstone, because Lily is a very strong newcomer who has a good sense of what she's all about. She should have been in Best Supporting Actress and she could have won. But we've had years like this before where Louise Fletcher should have been in Supporting Actress. They moved her up to Actress. She won. I have to go out on a limb and say Lily will win.
Yeah. So, Bonus Insider also is going to say Lily Gladstone's going to win. I'm with you. I felt like it was an interesting role because it felt like she could have easily been a supporting actress nominee because she doesn't have the screen time that the other characters do. But it's also such a long movie. Like being in it for half of it isn't very much, but it's still a ton. So
when she came out, it was special. So there were moments that when they brought her out and she was part of the action, you go, yeah, that kind of changes the inflection of what this is all about.
Yeah. So their bonus insider goes to Lily Gladstone, 73% chance of winning. Emma Stone, a 68%. So it is pretty tight.
Pretty close.
Yeah. And then they have Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall at third, Carey Mulligan for Maestro fourth, and Annette Bening at fifth place for Naiad.
I even wonder if Annette Bening's going to show, because she didn't show at the Screen Actors Guild Awards. And I wonder if she'll just say, yeah, I don't need this. But she's, I think, at the Five Timers Club where she hasn't won. And I don't even know if a miracle happened, Netflix, and she won it, what that would mean. I think if there's going to be a surprise, it's Sandra Hüller.
Yeah.
Because
and you mentioned her. Yep.
That is a remarkable performance. Foreign language actresses have a different kind of path. And sometimes they'll surprise you like that. Last year, Andrea Riseborough was this kind of odd person out for Best Actress. And I did get to talk to her not too long ago. And we talked about that Oscar kind of experience. And she says, the good thing for me was I was busy doing The Regime, which is now on HBO Max. And she said, I just flew in. I just had a couple of days there and I flew back out. But she said, what I saw of that was very kind of lovely and great, and I enjoyed it. But that there was this whole big controversy swirling around her. Like, why in the hell did she get nominated with nobody seeing this film? And what it was a group of actresses put her first on their ballot, and she got the nomination. And it was deserved. She deserved to be nominated. But it is one of those things where you never know what's going on behind the scenes and what people are doing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
It's like my Olympic athlete kind of comparison where they'll go, oh, Joe's going to win. Joe's going to win. Joe's going to he's going to be running there. He's got the gold medal in his hand. And then they don't talk about Joe fell yesterday and Joe has no actual chance at all of winning. And then you come to the day, oh yeah, he twisted his ankle and he's probably not going to finish. But they build this storyline up because they don't want to lose the audience for that. And then they don't tell you the little crucial part that you need to know, which is he twisted his ankle. So that's like this, you know?
Exactly.
Who knows what's going on behind the scenes? Do we have friendships with, Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston, and they're like calling all their friends and Emma Stone was part of that too. She was in the fall tree that they were using to get Andrea Riseborough. So there you go.
There you go. So best supporting actor. Now this is interesting. So the bonus insider feels pretty strongly about one person winning it, but the next couple up, it looks a little bit tighter. So it's almost like a coin flip of who could challenge for it. So what do you think about best supporting actor?
Everybody in your crew identifies as either Big Mac Burger, McNuggets, or McCrispy Sandwich. But you're the Filet-O-Fish Sandwich all day. That crispy fish, that savory tartar sauce, that melty cheese, that pillowy bun. Yeah, you get it. Every time.
And if you love the Filet-O-Fish, right now you can catch two of the classics you love for just $6. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Single item at regular price.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Well, we know it's Robert Downey Jr. And, he's kind of a pompous one. Whenever you see him on these shows, it's kind of like, of course I'm winning, And he's got Marvel money, and that always bothers me too, because you should have you either have an Oscar on your shelf or you get Marvel money. Should you get both of them? I don't know. You should be buying one on an auction. That's the way to get the Oscar. But the other people that are kind of in the mix, it isn't Robert De Niro. It isn't his turn to have another run. Probably, let me think. I'll ask you, who do you think?
Who do I think?
Now, you've looked at the list out. Who do you think was good?
Who do I think was good? I mean, I enjoyed Ryan Gosling from Barbie. So that would be, to me, would be the person who would probably contend, if not Robert Downey Jr.
I don't think that Mark Ruffalo was strong enough. In fact, I thought Willem Dafoe was better from that movie. Should have been nominated instead. And then we have Sterling K. Brown, who, if they're not thinking of Jeffrey Wright, they're certainly not thinking of Sterling K. Brown.
No.
So I do think that Ryan Gosling would be a great upset. It would be like upset in so many ways, because here you kind of see Robert Downey Jr. thinking, yeah, it's mine. It's mine. I'll just sit in the front. I'll get that good seat. And then I'll go up and I'll make some glib remark. And what if you got beat by Ken? What's he doing? He's performing. He's going to be singing his song.
Right.
During the Oscars. I mean, how much better could that be that you get to see Ken, and then Ken wins?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Now, bonus insider, they're saying 72% chance Robert Downey Jr. wins it. Second, the next one up at 55%, but this is actually we're just talking small percentage points here. They basically have Mark Ruffalo and Ryan Gosling 2-3 in that order, but it's just like percentage. And then De Niro way down and Sterling K. Brown. It's almost like they forgot to put him in here. They have him at 22%.
A closer thing will be best song, because there are two songs from Barbie, and it kind of seems like the done deal is that it's going to be the Billie Eilish song. I'm Just Ken could be in there, and especially if they do a great production of it, it could win.
Yeah. So best supporting actress.
And I told you it's Davine Joy Brown. Or Davine Joy Randolph. Sorry. It's Davine Joy Randolph. Sorry.
Slam dunk.
And I want her.
Mm-hmm.
She deserves to win. She has paid her dues. She's been in other films and been the best thing about them. Yep. And she does a great job with this, and it is truly a supporting performance. It's not one of those ones where they kind of shove somebody down in the category and say, well, you have a better shot at it here. I don't see somebody coming close to her.
No, and bonus insider, that they agree with you. So that you two must have been talking to each other.
We were.
They have her at basically a 92% chance of winning. Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, it's like 50% chance. Danielle Brooks from The Color Purple, Jodie Foster for Nyad, and America Ferrera, who they have her at a 26% chance likelihood of winning. But I honestly think they nominated the wrong Barbie for one of these. I remember her being in the movie, but to me she didn't steal the show like a different one did. So she
had one speech that was very good that she contributed to, and they have been running that speech in the trade papers. So you'll see this, and it's effective. If she does win, it's because they were pushing that, like, okay, she's summing up the whole movie in this one kind of speech. But I think it's nice to see her in the mix, but yeah, I don't think I would walk out if Davine didn't win. I would just say enough. If you're not giving it to her, we're done.
Yep. Yeah, I'll be shocked.
I'm curious to see what she's going to wear, because she's had, if you watch the award shows, her hair has gotten lighter. She's been she's almost Barbie blonde at this point. So maybe she's wearing the Barbie outfit. I don't know.
That'd be funny.
They talk about, colors that you wear. There are colors that are kind of better to win an Oscar with. One of the big ones is black. Black is a kind of a good indicator that you could win. But gold has taken on a different kind of sheen. Now, when she won her third Oscar, Meryl Streep was wearing gold. And it was like a robe, basically. She said, I can just tug it or loosen it however I want, and I feel a lot better because it's like I'm at home. So she wore gold. And now the year that Glenn Close was like supposed to win for The Wife, she wore gold, and she didn't win. So black or gold, those are your hot colors. That's what will determine who's going to be what at the Oscars.
Okay. So we've got a few more we'll call them the bigger awards and whatnot. So we'll do these a little bit more rapid fire so we can kind of wrap things up. Original screenplay, your thoughts on that one?
Now, is this the one that Barbie got screwed out of?
Right.
American Fiction is in that category, I believe, isn't it? Or is that
no, that's an adapted.
Okay. Can you give me the ones for?
Yep. Original is Maestro, May, December, Anatomy of a Fall, Past Lives, and The Holdovers.
Holdovers has some strength.
Yeah.
Because I think Holdovers is going to go home with more than one award,
Hmm.
but Anatomy of a Fall should win
Okay.
because it's just a really well-written kind of mystery.
Yeah. Bonus Insider is a little uncertain on this one. We'll say they have the Holdovers winning it, 48% chance. Past Lives at 47% chance. Anatomy of a Fall 41%. May December 39%. Maestro 36%. So it's kind of a toss up. I think we can call that one. Adapted screenplay. So this is Oppenheimer, Poor Things, American Fiction, Barbie, The Zone of Interest.
They want to give something to Greta Gerwig. So giving her the Oscar for Barbie would be a good thing. But again, how do you not give the movie that's going to be Best Picture the Oscar? It makes no sense.
Right. And that's kind of the thinking here in these rankings where Oppenheimer is picked to win. They have a 60% chance according to their data. Poor Things, American Fiction, Barbie fourth at like 34%, and Zone of Interest fifth. So they don't even think Barbie's gonna be, up there. No upset there.
So stupid that it was not in Best Original Screenplay because based on a doll, this is what it's based on. It's adapted from a doll. I don't think that that's a category.
Very, very weak.
Yeah, it should have been Original Screenplay.
To me, adapted it's based on a book. It's based on a magazine article, a newspaper clipping, a play, anything based on another movie. It doesn't even matter. But it's like to base it off of an action figure, basically. That's just ridiculous. Best international film.
Zone of Interest is probably going to win, but the Snow one is moving up.
Okay, and that's kind of what is sort of predicted here. It looks like a 48% chance for Zone of Interest, Society of the Snow at about 32%, and the others kind of falling in line after that. Cinematography.
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer is the choice here as well. Original score. So this is we're talking about composers. So Mr. John Williams with his 240th nomination or whatever it is.
You wanted to win for, and I think it's the only thing that Indiana Jones got.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
But I think it's Oppenheimer.
That's the prediction here. Yep.
Those sounds and things, you go, oh, wow, that's really cool. And it did sound different. And I think it's going to win.
The one that I would actually like to see win this, and it won't, is
Robbie
actually
Robertson.
Robbie Robertson for Killing. And I really thought the music really worked well with it. And I think it would be a nice nod to him because he has worked with Scorsese so many times over the years, and it would just be it would be very touching. But he'll get his moment too in those that we've lost when we look at the In Memoriam. But yeah, in Oppenheimer is like a slam dunk selection by Bonus Insider.
There's a song nominated from Killers of the Flower Moon that was written by Native American musicians. And so, there's an opportunity there, but I think it's Barbie's to lose.
Yeah, now this is an interesting one. They've given the Barbie, like the two songs, as kind of a toss-up. Now they're picking I'm Just Ken by Mark Ronson and Andrew Wyatt. However, it's been pretty much Billie Eilish and Phineas O'Connell, her brother. What Was I Made For has been the one that keeps winning the awards. So that's going to be interesting. Now, they basically gave him a tie at 71%. So they're saying we're giving it to Barbie, but they are picking the one that hasn't won so far. So we'll see how that goes.
Come on now, Diane Warren. 15 nominations, no win. She has an honorary Oscar. I don't think it's her film, but
no. And neither does Bonus Insider. They have her ranked last in this. So we thank you, Diane, for your service. But
you get to come to the party.
You get to come. She seems like a really fun person too, based on
your
interview.
Fun.
Yeah,
very fun, and she isn't afraid to use certain words that you wouldn't put in lyrics.
Exactly. Best visual effects. So this is like The Creator, Guardians of the Galaxy, Mission Impossible, Godzilla, Napoleon. Any thoughts?
Godzilla has a groundswell of support, oddly enough, but I think it's Mission Impossible.
This is a little bit of a toss-up. They're going with The Creator, but only 4 percentage points ahead of Mission Impossible. So
yeah, I think it's Mission.
Did you notice Mission Impossible's title changed, by the way?
No.
It's not Dead Reckoning Part 1 anymore. It's just now Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning.
What's the second one going to be called?
Something else. It's going to be completely renamed. I don't remember if they
Dune
settled
3.
on it's yeah, exactly. So that one, it's so underperformed that I think they freaked out and realized we can't have a Dead Reckoning Part 2. We have to call it something else. So if you see anything, it's like they've quietly removed the Part 1 from everything. So that one's going to be worth money. So
It'll
they're
be Day of Reckoning.
Yep, exactly. So there we go. Those are the key nominees from most of the awards, or at least the ones that Bonus Insider was willing to rank, and I think that's good enough for us.
I hear that they're going to do a lot of stuff with Barbie. So the Barbie people will be front and center. They're doing skits with them. Jimmy Kimmel is all excited about doing some Barbie things. And I would not doubt that there is going to be a Matt Damon bit, because he does it every night on his show. And Matt Damon was in Oppenheimer. So it'd be like Jimmy locking the door so that Matt Damon can't get in. No, you're not in. You weren't anything in Oppenheimer. No, stay out. You don't get in. You can see that kind of coming. There is talk that there will be some reunions that Michelle Pfeiffer and Al Pacino are going to present. Is this another Scarface reunion?
Okay.
We have Sally Field is going to present. And I don't know if they're going to stick Tom Hanks with her, but could we have a Forrest Gump reunion? There are things like that. And I love those. I love when they pull somebody from the past. Not that these people aren't working today, but when it's people you don't get to see all the time, I love that. I think that's so much fun. That's what they learned with the Emmys. Pull those old timers back, and people love to watch them. So maybe they'll do that this year with the Oscars as well.
Yeah, it's always fun too to see who kind of takes up front row. It was one of those things that, like, for years and years, there's always Jack Nicholson front and center, right? And then he just kind of vanished one day, and he was gone.
And Jack doesn't come back and do these things.
No,
he doesn't like. And his rule is he doesn't do television. I mean, that's television, but is it really television? Because he's not memorizing or learning anything. But it would be fun to see him, be the surprise at the end to present Best Picture.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not. So don't count on that one. But I like that, where you see somebody that you haven't seen for a while. Yeah. And if you look back 20, 30, 40 years, what were the big pictures that were on during that time? That could be Now, I wonder if we'll have Lily Gladstone and Leonardo DiCaprio sitting in the front, even though Leo is not nominated. Will he even show?
Yeah, that's interesting.
But
he's got a show. You would think he's got a show, but
is he a producer? I believe he's a producer. Maybe he's not.
I think he's a producer, right?
But you'll have. I think it'll be a big Oppenheimer section.
Yeah.
Last year, all the Everything Everywhere people were all seated together in a corner. So,
but they were also that was just such a weird film that nobody saw coming until it was coming hard, and that was a lot of fun. But that was and they're kind of circling back, coming full circle on our program this week. Last year was so fun because we had this movie that nobody saw coming, and then all of a sudden got hot at the right time, right? The New York Giants against the New England Patriots, right? And then it just kind of came out of nowhere. And this year, it just feels like we don't have one of those. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, for sure.
Well, we'll be talking about the Oscars the night of the Oscars. So
that's right.
If you want to tune in and find out how livid I am and how happy Terry is, that's the time.
There you go. So, yep, we will be recording in the evening as soon as the show finishes. So you'll want to listen for that. That would be, early in the morning, late morning at the latest of March 11th. We'll have our Oscar wrap-up episode. Neither of us will be wearing tuxedos. I don't know. Well, will you?
Sweatpants.
You doing TV? No? Sweatpants?
No,
Is that what you're doing?
Sweatpants.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will definitely be. This is why we're a audio program, so you don't have to see us.
I love it. For many years, I would go to a local TV station and we would do cut-ins. And every year I had a tuxedo, and they were gorgeous, really gorgeous, because they matched me with a female anchor, so that we were wearing very similar looks. And you're running to go get free pizza, basically. And then they say, okay, you're run. And you have to run, and you didn't hear what the winner was. So you're going to talk about the winner, but you weren't there to see it. It was an odd mix. And then it'd be like midnight before you get out of there, and they'd want to do something for the morning. And so it was like, I like it better in sweatpants.
That's right. All right. Well, enjoy your comfy pants. I will be doing the same myself. And as I said, come back March 11th. You'll hear us as quickly as we can get this thing produced and wrapped up. We'll be talking about the Oscars and breaking them down, and hopefully, I hope we'll be talking about some surprises, because I think that would make things fun. Not that I'm rooting against Oppenheimer. I love it, and it'll absolutely deserve whatever it gets, but it will be fun to see, maybe something else slip up there. Maybe.
And come on,
right?
Ken.
Ken, can you get up there? Can you get on stage? So, can Paul Giamatti pull one out? That would be fun. I think that would be fun, right?
Right. That's what we're aiming for. But, whoever wins. Try and remember the names of last year's winners. It's not always that easy.
That's right. All right. Thanks again for listening to this episode of Streamed and Screened.
Everybody in your crew identifies as either Big Mac Burger, McNuggets, or McCrispy Sandwich. But you're the Filet-O-Fish Sandwich all day. That crispy fish, that savory tartar sauce, that melty cheese, that pillowy bun. Yeah, you get it. Every time.
And if you love the Filet-O-Fish, right now you can catch 2 of the classics you love for just $6. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Single item at regular price.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.